morning, Starshine. The Earth says hello. And hello to you guys.
Yes, hello to all. This is The Swamp. The Swamp is an acronym.
Stands for some whack-ass movie podcasting.
Like 9 out of 10 times I do forget to do an intro until we're like 7 minutes in, and then I'm like, oh, shit, this is the name of the podcast.
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm Darren, I'm Emily, like, just whipping through.
If you're new here, welcome. And if you're not new, which is probably the case, then also welcome.
Yeah. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah. Thanks for coming back to listen to us talk about this whack-ass fucking movie today. Really living up to the title of this show. Some whack-ass movie podcasting. This is perhaps our wackest movie yet.
You think?
I mean, whack in on several layers.
Yeah, no, it
is surface level whack, but also like deeply
fucked.
Just fucked.
Yeah, it's the perfect analogy is that this movie is a jawbreaker of fucked.
Yeah. So if you don't know how to read, today we'll be covering the 2005 rendition of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The one from the 70s is called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So there is a titular difference, but the book by Roald Dahl is called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So it was actually the first movie that deviated from that title. But so yeah, the 2005 Johnny Depp,
Tim Burton,
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and December is the month that it is here, and we try to do themes, but honestly these themes are getting weaker and weaker each month. We're gonna have to go like really strong in January with something, because this month's theme is movies where there is snow.
Like, I think it definitely is a stretch, but this movie does still give me Christmassy, like, holiday vibes.
Yeah, because
it's about family, and there's, like, you know, it's like...
There's candy.
Yeah, there's candy. It works.
But we really were not trying to do... like
holiday
even
movies.
Like I was gonna say, not even just Christmas, but just like holiday movies. To do 5, because there are 5 Wednesdays this month, to do 5 was just gonna get so old so fast, and I'm sure y'all weren't gonna want to hear it. So we're like, well, what's the next step out in snow? It is snowing here in Syracuse. Is there any snow in Massachusetts right now?
I know there's snow in Massachusetts because I was just there yesterday. I'm currently in Connecticut, and there is 0 snow.
All right, it's like constantly like powder puff snowing, but none of it's sticking to the ground, which is kind of nice.
Okay, yeah, that is nice.
But it is going to start sticking soon, I believe. Like I have to clean off my car in the morning, but like there's still nothing on the ground type beat. Yeah. So, anyways, that's my snow update. That's my weather update. At the top of each snow-based episode, I'll update y'all on the fucking upstate New York snow situation. I'm sure you're enthralled to hear about it.
You're genuinely, because I know it gets like really fucked up there in terms of snow. So I just know you're in for it by the end of the month.
Oh, I know. So right now, on an inch and a 1 to 10 scale, I'm gonna put myself at like a 0. But for snow, so we'll see how this progresses. But for some reason, the snow in this movie really sticks out to me, and I wasn't like sure why. But then it was the final shot of the like sugar duster dusting the house that I was like, oh, that's why this movie like came immediately. We were like, oh, snow theme, and I was like, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, duh, which is. Maybe not what you would first associate this movie with is the climate.
I don't know. Like, here's the thing, is I certainly wouldn't associate it with, like, location, like being in England, because here's my thing is, I don't know where the fuck this movie takes place because of all of the different accents.
Yes, okay, date-wise, time-wise, location-wise, makes
no idea.
No fucking sense, and I think that must be on purpose, but... It's all the buckets have like English accents, right? So you're like, they must be in like London or something, right? Let's just greater UK area. But Willy Wonka, American.
His father though, British. Like in that scene where he goes and he actually finds the golden ticket in the chocolate bar, shop owner and Charlie, British. All the other people that are like yammering at him for the golden ticket, American. I don't understand.
And I get the whole, like, impoverished, like, house situation that the Bucket family is in, but, like, from that scenery alone, if you told me to guess what year this movie was set in, I would have said at the latest, like, 1930?
Right?
5, maybe? And then, no, Mike TV is fucking over here playing Call of Duty. What?
I have no idea, because it literally looks like the Industrial Revolution just happened.
Right? Right? They, like, don't have electricity in their house, but, I mean, I get it. They're supposed to be dirt fucking poor, but even just all over the place. Like, Augustus Gloop's dad is, like, a butcher, which is also giving me, like, early 1900s vibes. Just, like, it's just very jarring and confusing. The nut factory, the industrialization has altered the toothpaste factory, but not the nut factory. He still has all those women in, like, candy striper outfits crushing nuts. What fucking year is it?
He just seems like he just seems like he likes misogyny.
Yeah,
He's just super into it.
Yeah, he's rich enough to just, like, fuel his own, like, yes, and then the nut ladies come in their stripy nut outfits and they crush nuts all day. This is business.
He's a real traditional man.
But so I guess if we want to get into a little bit of a summary, if you haven't seen this film, it's kind of a classic. I feel like I know I had to read the book in first grade. Like, my teacher, like, read it to us. Have you never read the book?
No, didn't have to.
I was a huge Roald Dahl fan as a kid, for sure.
You seem like
Matilda,
one.
the Witches, yeah, for sure. Even Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, which was the sequel to this book.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Ooh, sorry, I knew how to read as a child. But if you're not familiar with this story, what? But it's pretty, because the 70s movie is, like, totally a classic, iconic. If your parents didn't, like, force you to watch that at some point, being like, Gene Wilder. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was just me, but... But I really liked this movie as a kid. It was one of those, we had it on DVD and I, like, wore it down until it didn't work anymore type beat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that says about me. But essentially, the plot is that Charlie Bucket's dirt fucking poor Freddie Highmore, lil ass, and his parents, Helena Bonham Carter, and that guy from Game of Thrones, and also the 4 grandparents that hang out in bed together because they're all immobile, so we think. And they're very poor. The dad loses his job at the toothpaste factory because of machinery, industrialization, I guess. What year is it? I don't know. And then they're like, oh, Charlie, you can get a chocolate bar for your birthday. And also, Willy Wonka is doing a thing because he's crazy and he closed the doors to his factory 10 years ago, but now he's going to let 5 children from all over the world come, and you have to find the golden ticket to come. And so fucking crazily, 5 white kids find these golden tickets. What are the fucking odds? Let's do the math.
Unbelievably low.
Very, very slim. And so 5 different kids from quote unquote all over the world. I think 2 of them are from America, 2 of them are from England, and 1 of them is from Germany.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is.
Okay, and so they get to go into the chocolate factory, which is ooky kooky, wacky, quirky. Johnny Depp has a bowl cut, and then each kid, but not Charlie because he is good, represents, like, a bad trait of a child. I guess just negative human traits. And each of them doesn't die, but comes close to it in a way that reflects their worst trait. So Augustus is a little greedy fucker and he falls into the chocolate river. Oh my god. And then he's so fat he gets stuck in a pipe. That's so hilarious. And then so on and so forth until the only one left is Charlie. And then Willy Wonka's like, oh my god, you won the prize. You get the whole factory. But you have to never see your family again because I have daddy issues. And then Charlie was like, I'm all set. And then one day down the road, he's shining his shoes. And he was like, Mr. Wonka, let's unpack that trauma. And he says, let's go visit your dentist father and let's just talk it out. I will mediate. I will therapize this session. And then they go he gets his little cavities filled, and his dad, fucking
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee. I want to say Christopher Plummer, but he's even older. I was like 2 steps off. But Christopher Lee is the dad, weirdly, a dentist dad. And then Johnny Depp makes amends, and then they become business partners. He becomes business partners with a child, and suddenly the Bucket family can afford steak. The end.
Can we just talk about how incredibly emotionally intelligent Charlie is for like a 10-year-old?
Right? Yeah. Is he supposed to be 10?
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
He seems around it.
I can't differentiate the different ages of children, so I'm always like 10 is like solid.
Anywhere between 4 and 14, probably.
No idea.
I feel like Freddie Highmore is always one of those ones who looked a little. He was like, you know, a late bloomer, so he could always maybe play a little younger.
Yeah.
Like, if you looked at this, is not factual in any way, shape, or form. But if you looked this up and told me he was like 15 in this, I would have been like, okay.
Well, now
like,
I want to know
out.
how old he is or was in this.
I know he just got married like this past year, which is crazy.
He's like 30, and this came out
05.
Oh my god, he was like 15. He's like 14.
Yeah. Oh my god, I'm right. I'm so right.
Oh wow.
Because he was in this in 2005, and I think this was maybe one of the first, like, bigger things he did, because then after this, he was in that movie August Rush, and then he got a couple other... He was, like, a pretty prominent child actor in this time, I feel.
Yeah, the Spiderwick Chronicles and all that stuff.
Yes. Oh my god, I loved that one.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like him and Anna Sophia Robb, who plays Violet Beauregard, are like the same flavor of child actor, right? Like she's hitting Bridge to Terabithia, he's hitting Spiderwick Chronicles. They're doing the most, and then they like are kind of stable as they grow up. Like neither of them ever were like in the tabloids being unhinged or anything, right?
Yeah, I feel like they both like kind of like settled down too a bit. Like since then he's done like the Bates Motel, and now he's like doing The Good Doctor and all that shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know he's the good... I've never watched that show, but I feel like I see cable ads for it all the time. I guess good for Freddie Highmore.
Yeah, fair enough.
I hope he's doing all right.
I think he's doing just fine.
Oh yeah, he is like weirdly emotionally intelligent, because he is like, first of all, if I was given a factory and they're like, never see your family again, and I was 10, I would have been like, bye. No, maybe that's not true. I appreciated and loved my family a lot, but still, most 10-year-olds I feel like would be like,
he didn't even,
I'm out of here.
He didn't even have an ounce of temptation. He was like, nope, not gonna happen. Like, do you know, like most 10-year-olds would have to like make like a pros and cons list at the very least.
And also the way he like shares the chocolate bar with his, they're like, this is your birthday gift, you get one a year, and they're like, you don't have to share it, and he's like, it's my gift and I'll share it if I want to. And I'm like, that's something that most adults would not even do.
No, exactly. That kid has the soul of like a 60-year-old man. It's probably because he's grown up around just 4
the oldest people, the 4 Guinness World Record holders of the oldest people alive in order.
Can we, because one thing I know that a lot of people talk about, can we unpack Grandpa Joe really quick?
Oh my god, the Grandpa Joe controversy, fuck Grandpa Joe, all my homies hate Grandpa Joe type beat is like the biggest commentary on this movie ever. And yes, the motherfucker just, I will say though, everyone's like, he could have been working and he was just sitting in that bed, but I'm like, the fucker's still like 90. Just because he can stand for a little bit does not mean that this man should be on the job.
Give him some credit. He does a little dance.
But this is like perhaps the best news he's received in several decades.
Yeah.
So I would get a surge of endorphins and do a bit of a jig as well. I'm not a Grandpa Joe apologist because fuck Grandpa Joe, but yeah, I will say he really just gave no ounce of effort into leaving that bed until it suited himself.
Here's the thing, is that I'm the same way. So I can understand. But also, yeah, it was the whole thing of, like, just because he's 9, like, he can move doesn't mean he can be working. That man breaks a hip on the job, he's done.
Yeah, right? But also, I feel like Willy Wonka should have employed both Charlie and Grandpa Joe, because Grandpa Joe had a lot of insights about the candy industry. You know, let's not leave out the older generation's voice. They're probably some of the largest spenders, the largest spending generation on something like that.
We can leave them out when it comes to politics, but definitely not candy.
Yeah. Grandpa Joe does not have the right to vote, but he does have the right to decide the next flavor of Cadbury Cream Egg.
Exactly.
I love the dynamic between the four grandparents, and I think it comes through definitely a little bit better in this movie. I think you can definitely compare the two. But I think Johnny Depp in an interview said once, he said, it's not a remake of the movie, it's a new adaptation of the book, which I really like that answer, because it's true. There's a source material, and I think it's doing new things with it. And I don't think it should necessarily be compared, because to me, the 70s one is like, it's the Gene Wilder show, you know? Yeah. And it's just like him being fucking amazing for the duration of the movie. And I think this one maybe tells a more deep and comprehensive story. I will say some of the little side quests and little flashbacky bits do not do it for me.
I just want to know why on earth Tim Burton said, you know what this story is missing? An absurd amount of daddy issues. Like, is he just telling... Well, yeah. Does he just have...
The childhood flashbacks? No, okay, well, I know that the headgear bit was based off of his personal life
That's what I was wondering. I was like, did he just take this from his own, like, childhood? Is he just working through... Did he just work through, like, a lot of shit with this movie? Is that why he made this?
Right? So I don't think it's quite the daddy issues, but I know that, like, wearing big headgear as a kid and, like, feeling very alienated because of it was a thing that happened to Tim Burton, so that's why he included it in the movie. I also will say that the flashbacks I was referring to not enjoying so much were the A, colonization of Oompa Loompas, and B, the trip to India with the chocolate palace didn't need to be there. Like, what did not need to be there. But I think that the flashbacks to his childhood and developing the daddy issues is the only sound explanation as to why the fuck Johnny Depp is acting like that. like the way he's like weirdly cold towards the children, and like a little bit he like zones the fuck out sometimes. Like the clear displays of mental illness had to be a choice that needed to be explained. Yeah. And I think it checks out. To me, I'm like, well, thanks for letting me know why the fuck this behavior is happening on my screen.
Like, what comes with those, like, little bits and pieces, too, with the flashbacks are some of the funniest lines in the entire movie as well. Like, the whole, like, he had one part where he was like, I'm sorry, I was having a flashback. And I'm like, I'm gonna take that for myself.
And then somebody's like, does that happen to you often? And
increasingly.
Like, increasingly. Yeah. I was just like, yeah, true. Me, I've been like staring at the same spot of lint on the ground for 45 minutes. And somebody's like, hey, are you good? Sorry, I'm just having some me time in my brain.
Yeah, but no, Johnny Depp is absolutely insane in this movie. Like, it's one of those things, and like, say what you will about him, whatever, I'm not gonna get into the whole bit. But, like, that man's range is just insane. Absolutely incredible.
I also think the trope of, like, directors who always use the same actors kind of thing, I think that this is an example of how it really can be a benefit, because I think a lot of Johnny Depp's best work has been with Tim Burton, and I think maybe working with somebody you know so good allows you to, like, push your creative, you know... boundaries maybe a little bit. Also with Danny Elfman, I know, doing the soundtrack. The way Danny Elfman popped the fuck off on this soundtrack, as he does with every film. But when Tim Burton says, I'm doing something a little ookie kooky, he said, who do I call? Oingo Boingo. Yes.
I say it every time, but Danny Elfman put his whole pussy into this.
Right? Especially with all the Oompa Loompa dance
numbers.
Oh
my god.
Each one with the genre altering just slightly to fit the different, and the production design in this movie. I will say this movie is fucked, it's racist, it's questionable, but the production design, there must be something said for
Yeah,
it.
well,
I mean,
it was
not that excuses
No,
any of the
no,
bad
it
things
doesn't.
about it, but I'm watching this movie and in my head I'm like, this is super fucked up, but it's pretty to look at.
Right? It was like 2005, and like how it looks is gorgeous. It reminds me a lot
I also
of like another Johnny Depp movie, which is like Pirates of the Caribbean. Like those early 2000s production and design was insane for those as well.
I also really liked that a lot of the like CG or animation stuff in this was super like looked like it was made of plastic. Like that whole intro sequence of the like machines making the candy bars, and it doesn't look photorealistic. Like it looks kind of clunky and animated, but in like a weird plasticky mechanical kind of way that I think fits the whole vibe. I think they really kind of leaned into a way that made some of the CG stuff not look quite so hokey and more like intentional. And also I know a lot of the sets, like the candy room with the chocolate river, like that was fucking real. That's a set they made. Like, so I know a lot of the actual sets they put a lot of time into. This movie was also nominated for an Oscar for costumes,
that makes
which
sense.
I will say definitely deserving.
Yeah, no. Well, all the sets make sense and everything like that because it did have a $150 million budget.
Yeah. At this time, Tim Burton was on his hot girl shit and definitely had the rep to just get whatever the fuck greenlit. I know that they wanted to do this remake of, Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory type thing since the early 90s. It was kind of like started being in the works, and it went through several different directors. I think maybe like Scorsese at some point, like somebody fucking like, what the fuck? At one point was on this, but then they got around to Tim Burton and it was like, yes, solid. And then also so many different actors I read. I didn't write them down, but it was like Will Smith at one point was in the running. I know Brad Pitt I think he's listed as like an EP on this, as he is in every movie because he just like funds every movie. But Brad Pitt was gonna be Willy Wonka at one point, and they were like, I don't really know. But then eventually, obviously, the combo of Johnny Depp and
Tim Burton. You just keep forgetting his name today.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't deserve space in my head.
Fair enough. You know who does deserve space in your head though? Is what's his
Missy Pyle. Missy Pyle is
yes.
Violet Beauregard's mom.
Yes.
And their little matching haircuts and their matching outfits. Oh my god.
Yeah, no.
Me and my American Girl doll back in the day.
No, really.
In matching velour tracksuits and little matching haircuts. The way they slayed those blonde bobs.
Outstanding. I like that Willy Wonka and Violet have the same haircuts. But no, the person that I was going to give a shout out to is Deep Roy, who plays
Deep Roy the Chocolate Boy.
who plays every single one of the Oompa Loompas. He did so much for this movie. An outstanding amount.
Yes.
Choreography. He learned to like actually play instruments, singing, anything.
So I know Danny Elfman does all the singing dubbed. So he was, because I know that they like did that, but he took all those dance numbers. He did every one of those shots individually. Each dance number sequence had to be done several hundreds of times, and they bumped his pay up. Like,
I would
halfway
fucking
through the movie
hope,
because they realized they're like oh fuck, they like bumped it by like $1 million or something. Like he was not getting paid a ton to be in this, and then they were like, oh, this is the vision actually, and you're gonna have to do this dance number 100 times in a row, so like you can have $1 million more.
It's what he deserves.
But he's actually he's a really interesting actor if you go and read about him. He's done a ton of like stunt work stuff and a lot of like puppetry type stuff, as I think he's like 4 feet tall maybe. And they digitized him to look much smaller as an Oompa Loompa. But he, for the Star Wars movies, was a stand-in for both Yoda and R2-D2.
Really?
Like, he was just like on site to like do any sort of getting in there and moving shit around. He's uncredited, I think, in 2 of them, but then on the last one they give him like, stunt credits or whatever. But if you look at his IMDb, he's literally been in so fucking much. And I think this is the first thing that he really was like at more of the front. Like he was less of a background thing and more of like, that's fucking Deep Roy being every Oompa Loompa.
He carried this fucking movie.
I'm gonna say him and Danny Elfman should just do like a visual album together, and then that I can just forego the rest of this movie, to be honest. I just want Deep Roy doing 100 dance routines over and over to Oingo Boingo music.
It's just so right. Oh my god. Yeah, no. I do feel bad because he was in a lot of very offensive scenes, and he was the face of a lot of really offensive shit in this movie.
Yes, I mean, certainly a way you can compare it to the original movie, I guess. And also, I know the book went under some criticism at one point for having, I think, one or two lines that refer to the Oompa Loompas, like, basically being, like, little brown people. And I think somebody, like, in the early 2000s was like, hey, we should probably cut that out. And so all the publishing houses, like, altered it slightly to try to make it a little less, like, racist or whatever in the book. But in the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, they're orange with green hair, which is, like, not great, but honestly not the worst, because at least it was kind of, like, whimsical, question mark. Now they just straight up were like, you know how we're gonna explain this one? Colonialism. Literal imperialism and slavery. They're like, Johnny Depp is gonna fuck around and use his white privilege to literally enslave and be a white savior to a race of people obsessed with chocolate, which is just, like, so incredibly stereotyping and horrible. And I cannot believe that the fact that statistically the impossibility of all 5 of these children being white is not even the most problematic part. Like, the fact that everybody of color in this movie is used as a prop, and that's not the worst thing. About, like, the fact that they just put it at the forefront and are like, we're gonna make problematic statements about it now. Like, oh my god. I don't think I've watched this movie as an adult in quite a while. I think, you know, I've seen it probably in the past couple of years, but really watching this and being like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to talk about this for an hour. I'm like, it cannot go unaddressed that this movie is so incredibly racist and fucked up. And I think it's really the prime example of when people kind of make those statements about Tim Burton, saying like, oh, you know, never cast diversely, whatever. Like, this is the example in which you did include it and you just made the worst fucking decisions of, like, how to represent. It's sickening.
Yeah, no. Having fucking Johnny Depp crawling through the jungle to find, like, this indigenous people and being like, oh, come work for me. Like, Jesus Christ.
For free. Also, the way he's like, oh, but I'm giving them a life that's better than the one they had at their home. I'm like, that's literally what people used as the, like, reasoning for a literal slavery.
Yeah, no. It's just
incredibly fucked up. I'm glad Deep Roy got that check, though, you know? I'm glad Deep Roy, the chocolate boy, did his dance moves and got that fat check and then moved on, because at least some good potentially came out of this. But I even just hate how, like, the shopkeeper is black, and there's just, like, a couple, and you could tell it was probably like, look, I'm adding diversity, but they're all, like literal prop characters. It's just, he's so... Tim Burton's fucked. No. And I'm glad, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm glad he got canceled, but I'm glad people are talking about it, because I think it needs to be said for a lot of directors who are, like, at the forefront of, like, Wes Anderson. Let's fucking talk about
for real.
Diversity and casting. Like, let's call people out for their shit, because that's the only way anything's ever gonna change. And I know this movie was made in 2005, but it's still no fucking excuse, because Tim Burton is still doing this shit, so...
Yeah. And he's gonna keep doing it.
Send a strongly worded email to Tim Burton at spooky.com to let him know that his shit is fucked.
Tim Burton, you are not invited to this podcast.
Yeah. Even if you were on your knees begging,
would never.
I would say, there will not be an Edward Scissorhands episode for you, sir. Even though I was thinking, this is the second, so we did Beetlejuice, so this will be the second Tim Burton movie we cover on the pod, and then it's also the second, it was something else. It'll come back to me. But I was like, oh, we're 2 for 2 now. On something else. Oh, Danny Elfman. No, many, because we did 50 Shades of Grey, and that was Danny Elfman as well.
Did you bring that up in that episode? Did I know that?
Yeah, I did. It's so weird. It's like such a random, like, rogue trivia fact.
Good for him, I guess. Jesus Christ.
Oh, but so I really do like that this movie, I feel really represented, you know, not only as a white person do I feel incredibly represented in this movie in more ways than I can count, but also as a person with mental illness. The two ways that my mental illness would manifest in this situation is either that A, I have infinite expendable resources and I become Willy Wonka. I do something fucking crazy. I become a recluse in a chocolate factory, and I set up a big marketing scheme to like get children to kill each other to try to like compete in the candy Hunger Games. That kind of mental illness, yes. And then the second kind is when you have no resources, and it's when you lay in bed all day with your 3 friends.
Two sides of a spectrum here.
Right, yeah, right. When you're broke AF and all you can afford to do is eat soup and lay in bed, relatable.
Sounds like a great time to me.
I just mean, like, why are billionaires, Jeff Bezos, boring? What is he doing with his money? Getting a divorce? What would I be doing with $8 billion? Building fucking chocolate factories?
I think it's a great idea. I could see you thriving there, especially with your marketing experience.
Right. I would say, though, I do not like the capitalist drives in this movie. I know Willie never says he does it for the money, but the way he's like, I'm gonna like use this whole golden ticket thing is like, it's clearly just a big ploy to get his business booming again. He's probably facing some recent losses. He doesn't pay his workers anything, though, so that clearly can't be an issue.
Here's my thing, is that I just think he has the insatiable urge to just murder children.
And that's also relatable.
No.
Every time I get a bob haircut, I do a thing where I grow my hair out to my butt and then I chop it to my ears, and then that's just like my personal cycle. And when I do the chop, I'm always like, am I Coconut Head from Ned's Declassified, or am I Johnny Depp Willy Wonka? Because those are just the two. If you get a little short, if you have brown hair and you do a little short bob and it's like stick straight like that, it's like Dora, Coconut Head,
Willy Wonka. You have 3 options and that's it. Yeah, no. The one thing I will say that, like, he does that is honestly seems like something that's, like, realistic for today's billionaires is that man most certainly has built a nuclear bomb. Did you see... Did you see that fucking room full of quote-unquote fireworks and all that shit? Those were explosives. Those are machines of war.
Yeah.
What does he know that I don't know, that everyone else doesn't know? What's he preparing for? Because that man has weapons of mass destruction. I
think that the Mike TV character is a little underrated in the overall discussion of this movie. Because, and I think as time has gone on, that type of kid like becomes more and more relevant in our society because it's like the hacker, crypto, gaming
boy,
antisocial kid who knows more than he should, like, you know, smarter than his parents, but also like not using his knowledge to do anything productive, like type beat.
I know
kid.
a handful
I don't know,
of them.
I feel like that's right, yeah. And so I think it's really interesting that they captured that specific kind of kid in 2005 because I think that was still before a lot of the like Reddit type the Reddit types of kids, you know, really blossomed. But the way that he criticizes Willy Wonka every step of the way, he's like, dude, you built a teleportation machine and all you can think about is candy. I'm like,
he's true.
Right? Reasonable.
My TV is not wrong. He's just a dick.
Right? He's just 8 and a dick. But
every 8-year-old is a dick.
Willy Wonka was so concerned about the leeches and the parasites who were stealing his candy recipes. Bro, I'm in there stealing the nuclear codes. I am in there stealing the technology that's going to get us to Mars. Elon Musk is crawling through the air vents, taking notes on what the Oompa Loompas are testing in the Chemex lab.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Right? Like...
Yeah, no. This does feel like a lot like today's billionaires. It's like, you could be ending homelessness. No, I'm gonna go to space. Right?
The Bucket family is living nary 3 blocks down the street, eating
cabbage soup.
I don't even want to call it. It's not soup. It's hot water. It's hot water and lettuce. And he has... When they are traveling in that glass elevator and they go through that mountain range of chocolate, the Fudge Mountains, imagine how many people you could home. How many people you could
The thing about that, too, is, like, when they bring the glass elevator to Charlie's house and he decides, you know where I'm gonna park this? Through the roof. This house is already
And the house
is already on like its last legs. One board and the whole
it's on a 45-degree
one
angle,
board
yeah.
gone and the whole thing's done. The whole family is crushed. And he decides to put an entire elevator through there.
I know, and then they like repair the house and it still
Fucked.
looks so disheveled.
Yeah. There's only so much they can do.
I do like that they do the little nod of like the Bucket family gets back on their feet without the help of Willie. At first it's like the dad gets a job and they can like afford to, it's not entirely like billionaire savior moment, but it definitely is. The ending of this movie does not do it for me.
Mm-mm.
I'm like, and why are you like making this child a business partner? Like let him go to school. Let him play Pokemon. Do Pokemon exist in this universe? Please, Willie, Johnny, please just give this boy a Nintendo DS and let him play Pokemon.
I think he should put Charlie through school. Did you see that toothpaste model that he made? That man's an engineer. That man's gonna be an architect. What's gonna happen? Just put him through school. Like, the only interest he's ever shown in candy is because he could never have it, which I guess is like the same idea as like Willy Wonka, I guess. But like Charlie seems like he could really take it or leave it.
Yeah. Yeah, right? He's like, also, the thing about Charlie that, I don't know, he finds that $10 bill on the ground, and he goes and buys the chocolate bar, which I get it. I get it. It was his last chance, and I'm not going to blame him for that. But the way he runs out of that shop without getting his change, sir, that $10 will be buying your family's groceries.
Right, I was going to say.
You know how many cabbages? I get that you're excited, homeboy, and that this is the opportunity of a lifetime, but that chocolate bar isn't inflation. Has inflation, what is this, the year 1,000 million? Has inflation made a candy bar $10? I did not think.
Oh, no, because Grandpa Joe gives him, like, a coin, like a dollar to buy it. That's $9 other, Charlie. Yeah.
2 doubloons.
And then he goes home and he's like, oh, I'm gonna sell this. You wouldn't have had to sell it, really, if you just had the $9 that you left.
Yeah.
But
because that's gonna get your family at least, what? Several Cornish hens? Like, some wheat product?
I don't know what year this is, so I couldn't say.
Okay, we're back at it again with another chocolate or vanilla with Jen. Jen is my mom, and she invented this lovely game called Chocolate or Vanilla, where she gives us 2 options, and we say which one we like better. It's a really fun platform for me to loudly express my opinions. We play it every week here on the pod, or at least we try to, when I remember to upload it. Last week on School of Rock, I very sadly was editing in a haste and forgot to pop it in the middle. So apologies to those chocolate or vanilla stands out there, I guess. But does this week have a theme?
It does. So we have a 3-way theme. So I was like first motivated or inspired by Glee going off Netflix as of tomorrow. I am so sad. So it's part Glee, but then I was like, I can't do a whole chocolate or vanilla on Glee because that's like too much. So I peppered in some Roald Dahl and some Johnny Depp.
Roald Dahl, Johnny Depp, and Glee.
Yes.
Fair enough. I like this already.
Classic pairing.
Okay. I'm ready.
Okay, you guys ready? All right. Yes. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Vanilla.
Chocolate. Chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry?
Chocolate.
I'm gonna go for strawberry this week.
I'm gonna go with strawberry too.
Outstanding.
Okay. Klain or Finchel? Obviously, Klain is Kurt and Blaine, and Finchel is Finn and Rachel.
Klain all the way. Anything involving Rachel Berry is a hard no from me. She's fucking irritating.
Exactly.
It's kind of like when the main character of the show is the worst character kind of thing. And I think after a while, she really cannot be considered to be the main character. Mm-mm. It's very much an ensemble cast situation. Whereas Kurt and Blaine both have their flaws, but as a unit, I was always a fan, so I will go with Klain.
Yeah, no, fuck Rachel Berry. All my homies hate Rachel Berry. She sucks. Dara put it very nicely. So I cannot root for her in any sort of capacity. I support Finn when he... does he cheat on her?
Yes, he does with Santana. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
course.
I would also cheat on Rachel Berry with Santana.
With literally any member of the Glee
Literally
cast.
any of them. So
With
I'm,
Mr. Shu, I would, and he's the worst.
Yeah. So I'm gonna Klain for sure.
Yeah, me too, Klain. I would ship Blaine with anybody. All right, BFG or Matilda?
Matilda. I wasn't a huge fan of the new BFG movie, but I know we're not just going on movies, but like BFG and Matilda are both pretty good books, but the Matilda movie I think is one of the greatest films ever made. So I have to say, as like a book movie duo, I think the book to film adaptation was flawlessly done, so I will say Matilda.
Yeah, Matilda's just one of those comfort movies. It's one of those ones too, like if like I'm at home and I'm like channel surfing and Matilda's on, it stays on, kind of thing. So she's got
the directorial debut of Danny DeVito.
Exactly. How could
nonetheless
it be bad? Outstanding. Yeah. So definitely Matilda.
Yeah, I would say Matilda for the sweep. Also, I love that Rusted Root song that they sing. Yeah, it's a good song. It's a good song.
Yeah, good soundtrack.
All right, so for the who's your favorite Glee DC Multiverse character? Grant Gustin as Sebastian Smythe or Melissa Benoist as Marley Rose, because we know that they are the Flash and Supergirl.
Okay, really interesting. I only know this through osmosis of my own household, that nobody watches these fucking CW Marvel shows except for my parents. So the Flash and Supergirl are only on air because Gary and Jen tune in every week. So you're welcome, the CW, I guess. But I guess I'm gonna have to go Marley Rose / Supergirl, because, I don't know, feminism wins this round.
I'm gonna go, what was the guy's name?
The Flash.
Grant Gustin, who plays a Flash.
Yeah.
He's the the mean warbler, Sebastian.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with him, just purely for the, what is it? The Michael Jackson cover that him and Santana.
Yeah, Dirty Diana. Yeah.
No, not
Smooth
Dirty
Criminal.
Diana.
Smooth Criminal.
Smooth.
Yeah, with the cellos.
Yeah. Strictly for that.
So good.
Yeah, very good call. Good call. One is really, really, really hard for me.
This whole chocolate or vanilla segment is just Jen really going through her personal struggles with having to choose different Glee characters.
All right, I will go Supergirl. Pirates of the Caribbean or Alice in Wonderland?
I'm going to say Pirates of the Caribbean for sure. I never really loved the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderlands. I felt they relied a little too heavily on CG. It was in that time where it was really taking off and like really trendy to do your whole movie in sort of VFX. And I'm kind of a practical girl. I kind of like, some traditional set design. Mm-hmm. But I will say, we mentioned earlier that the effects that they did in the early 2000s on the early Pirates of the Caribbean movies were fucking outstanding and groundbreaking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely insane. I actually, pretty recent, over the summer really, rewatched the entire Pirates of the Caribbean franchise because we were on vacation and my sister decided this was going to be the thing that she obsessed over for the entire week that we were in New Hampshire. And so we watched one every night. And let me tell you, they're good movies. They're really good movies. So I'm definitely
Keira Knightley?
Don't get me started. That's a whole thing. But yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna say Pirates of the Caribbean.
Me too. Pirates of the Caribbean.
I do want to say, I had a whole Alice in Wonderland themed sleepover once when I was a kid, because I was obsessed. I think it was maybe like my book club, and I'd made them all read the book or something. And we're gonna do a movie marathon of all the different film adaptations. And I made everyone watch the episode from the TV series where Whoopi Goldberg plays the Cheshire Cat, and some girl cried so hard her mom had to pick her up. And she was like, "I am so scared." Well, I was like, you weren't gonna make it through the sleepover because we're getting all the way to Tim Burton. But yeah, Whoopi Goldberg as the Cheshire Cat made some girl cried that her mom had to get her.
Girlfriend, we are not friends past fourth grade.
Yeah.
So Glee originals sung at regionals. Season 4, All or Nothing, when they were wearing purple. Marley Rose wrote it. Or season 2, the regionals, where they wore the aqua outfits, and they sang "Loser Like Me."
Loser Like Me, and they threw the slushies, and it was full of glitter.
Yeah.
That one, I distinctly remember in my brain. I'm gonna say as a Glee fan, I dropped a little off after the Glee project. Like, I watched maybe seasons 1 and 2, but once they started integrating, like, those people into the cast, I kind of dropped off as a fan because I was maybe in 8th grade and I was like, I'm done, I'm too old for this. But I do really vividly remember Loser Like Me from season 2, especially when they put them in the hotel room and they said you have to write a song, and then Brittany wrote My Cup, an anthem. My cup, saying what's up to my cup. So good. That is the original. That is chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry. My answer is My Cup by Brittany.
Can't believe I didn't have that one.
I'm gonna have to say agree with Dara and go with Loser Like Me, because hold on, what's that thing where you go and you get a group together and you all rehearse to dance?
Flash mob?
Yes, my 6th grade graduation, we did a flash mob to Loser Like Me.
That's amazing.
If I was in 6th grade, I would have killed myself. I'm like, they're making me do first a dance in public,
Bro.
and 2 about a song about losers.
I was
too real.
I was front fucking row. But yeah, what about you, Jen?
That is a awesome story, but I'm gonna pick All or Nothing because it's very heavy on the Blaine. The Witches or James and the Giant Peach?
I really like those movies a lot, both of them actually, and I was just describing my affinity for practical effects, and both of those movies definitely hit the sweet spot for me. But I will say I'm a claymation kind of gal. It's not for everyone, but it sure is for me. And I love the half real life, half claymation sort of transition they do in that movie. I think it's iconic. I think it's outstanding cinematic genius. James and the Giant Peach for sure. Also, that French spider, girl, get it.
I'm gonna have to go with Witches, just because I do love Angela Houston. Is that yeah? Yeah, just love her. And that's it.
Did you guys know?
Did you see the new one with Anne Hathaway?
No, I have not.
No, it won every Razzie for worst film, so I just simply refuse out of self-respect.
I love Annie, but I don't know. I won't do it. I won't drop to that level.
And I think she played the Angelica Houston role. I think she was like the head witch, like the.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go James and the Giant Peach. All right. Best hyper-religious Cheerio: Quinn Fabray or Kitty Wilde?
Oh my god, Quinn Fabray was the blueprint. Katie Wilde could never. She was simply a decoy. She was simply a copy. Quinn Fabray, I've said it and I've said it before, I cannot think of a better moment in maybe all of television than the birthing screams of Quinn Fabray synced up to Bohemian Rhapsody. Are you kidding me? Whoever directed that, you can be on the pod, because by God.
Masterful. Absolutely masterful. Yeah, I always liked Quinn Fabray's character. She had so many different story arcs, I couldn't even keep track. And you know what? I could get down with that. Kitty, I could not even be...
Take her or leave her, yeah.
Yeah, can't think of anything that I like about her. But, yeah, what about you, Jen?
See, unpopular opinion, I love Kitty.
I think you seem to lean towards the later season.
New school, yeah, you're like a new school Glee.
Quinn Fabray, though, she played the lead in I Am Number 4, one of my favorite movies.
I do know that, yeah.
And then, but Kitty does like Hallmark Christmas movies. Becca Tobin, I love her. She has an awesome podcast with 2 of her close friends called Girl Gang. It's so good, yeah.
Any Diana Argon stands out there? She plays Quinn Fabray. She was in Shiva Baby, which is a really great, it's like an hour and 10 minutes or something. It's literally a brief film. So, like, a short film could be roughly a long TV show episode type beat. And she plays, like, the wife of a sugar daddy man. I can't even get into it, but she's kind of a wild card who shows up, and you're kind of like, oh my god, Quinn from Glee. So anybody who is a Diana Argon stan, go watch Shiva Baby, please. I think it's on Hulu.
Fucking outstanding movie. Probably one of my favorite ones from this last year. If not my favorite.
I'm gonna have to watch that.
It's anxiety-inducing, but it's really good.
Oh, next is Edward Scissorhands or Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Oh, Edward Scissorhands. I wasn't a huge fan of these Harry Potter sequel reboot type beat things. They were fine, and I saw them in the theaters, which I think it's a kind of movie that you can't really enjoy unless you're in a theater because it's so like CGI heavy. I don't really know, but I wasn't super into it. So definitely Edward Scissorhands, total classic. Love the cinematography.
Yeah.
Here for it. Here for Winona Ryder.
I feel like I've only actually watched Edward Scissorhands like maybe once. Handful of years ago, so as I remember I enjoyed it, but I don't remember too much about it, but it's one more watch than I ever gave those Harry Potter Fantastic Beasts movies, so I'm gonna go with Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, definitely Edward Scissorhands for the sweep. Okay, Kurt singing a stripped down version of I Want to Hold Your Hand in season 2 for his dad Bert Hummel, or Kurt singing a stripped down version of Blackbird when the Warblers mascot Pavarotti died in season 2.
I have to say, I was waiting because you said the intro to this question, and I was hoping that Blackbird would be an option, because back in the day when you had to buy songs on iTunes individually and then you like had your like iPod library or whatever, but I would plug my headphones into my computer and listen to my music most of the time. Don't ask me why, but then sort of like a Spotify recap situation, but not nearly as technologically advanced. You could see what your most played song, like it gave you the literal number of times you had watched or like listened to a song. I guess you could sort your songs by number of times per listen or whatever. And the Blackbird cover by Kurt was my number one for probably a straight year and a half. I don't know why. I do not know why. I was never as deep of a Glee stan as my mom was. But I just was so into, I don't know, I guess I liked the Beatles, but also I liked Glee, so this was the perfect, like, culmination of the two of them. Literally, it had, like, 3,000 more listens than, like, any other song in my library, so I simply have to say.
As a certified Beatles stan, this is a tough question, but I will say the Blackbird cover just does it right. Just does it right. The other one's really good, but something about that Blackbird cover. Dara, I get it.
It had something like 100 hours of listen time or something stupid like that. Like, I don't know. I would just put it on repeat and get in my feels about a dead bird that wasn't mine.
I'll take Blackbird for the sweep. Next one. Fantastic Mr. Fox or the original Willy Wonka from 1971?
Ooh, okay. This is pretty tough. I think I'm gonna have to go. I mean, I feel like a class traitor or something by saying Fantastic Mr. Fox, because I do think the original Willy Wonka is like a really important piece of historical cinema that I think we should all like respect. But I will say, like, on a personal level right now, if you like we're having a movie night, what do we want to watch? The original Willy Wonka or Fantastic Mr. Fox? I'd probably pick Fantastic Mr. Fox just on like personal aesthetic viewing pleasure. I don't know. So I guess I would probably go with. I love claymation. We know it. We've heard it a million times. I'm a claymation kind of gal.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those things. Like, I've definitely seen the original Willy Wonka like a handful of times and everything like that, and it's great. But if I like want to be entertained and just like put a smile on my face, I'm gonna put on Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Okay, you're really reassuring me, because I feel like they made us watch that movie every year of elementary school. Like, K through 6, I was forced to watch because they were like, look at how amazing and classic this movie is. Also, I feel like we had to read the book maybe a number of times. I don't know, but I feel like maybe was this not ingrained into the like cultural upbringing of every other child in America? Let me know in the comments, in the DMs. Please DM us about your like personal Gene Wilder Willy Wonka experience. I really want to know about it.
I'll go with the original Willy Wonka. All right, last one. Saving the best for last, by the way. Jonathan Groff as Jesse St. James in Glee, as King George in Hamilton, or as the voice of Kristoff in Frozen?
Easy. He's my favorite villain.
Yeah, I gotta say, Jesse St. James in Glee is... I mean, okay, he's good as King George, but where did he pull that energy from? Where did he pull that sort of deep hatred in his heart? And it was from Jesse St. James. The way that he says, Rachel, we're getting back together, and then throws a slushie in her face, iconic. Simply, he's the bully of all bullies. And the way that he tugs on her strings and ties the knot and is the puppet master here, simply, he added intrigue and interest to the show when it started to dip a little bit. I think he was a good character that they introduced at the right time. And I was always a fan. So I will say him as Jesse St. James in Glee.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna have to stick with you on this one. He was a bitch, and I loved it. And that's all I needed.
Scene stealer in Hamilton, but also Hamilton's full of scene stealers. You know, what's a scene stealer among scene stealers? Nothing. But what is he in Glee? An icon.
I don't want to disagree with you guys.
Speak your truth, Jen.
When you said it's a no-brainer, I was like, she's gonna say King George from Hamilton. He just kills it.
He did.
But I love all three of these. It was really hard for me to pick. Aaron says I can call Jonathan Groff Sauce. That's what I call
Groff
him.
Sauce, yeah. Groff Sauce is
yeah.
like the internet. What was he? I feel like he was in a trailer for a movie recently, and you audibly gasped.
Matrix.
Oh,
Matrix.
yes.
New Matrix, yeah.
Yeah.
We saw Dune in the theater, and the trailers were running, and for Matrix, Jonathan Groff popped up, and Jen, like, audibly quaked in her seat because she was so excited to see him on the big screen.
I'm surprised you could hear me because those two elderly gentlemen next to us were speaking so loudly.
And then you leaned over and said, "That's Frank Herbert."
That's the actual author right next to us.
Which was a really sick burn from Jen. But also, if any of you have seen any good of the new movies that have come out, we don't really cover them on the pod because we figure not everyone has seen them. We want to cover more stuff that people have seen. But if you've seen anything good in the theaters lately, DM us because I'm trying to keep up on the new shit. So if you want to talk to me about, The French Dispatch, Dune, whatever, Princess Diana, whatever, please DM us. I love to talk about new movies. So shouts out to that. Quick interim shouts out to new movie. Thank you so much for a great Glee-based chocolate or vanilla segment. I will have to shout out my brother-in-law, Nick. He listens, and he said to me over Thanksgiving, he was like, yeah, I was listening to the pod, and Jen said Community or Glee. And I just thought to myself, there's no way this isn't a sweep for Community. And I was the only person. He's like, I didn't realize there were so many Glee stands on the pod. So
we're alive and well.
Yeah, this is a Glee. I wouldn't call myself a stan, but I've certainly seen it, But
Here's what you
a
missed
Glee informed podcast.
I'd call myself a Glee apologist.
For the pod, but yeah, I think this was a really great theme this week, Jen. Really way to lighten the mood in the midst of our Charlie and the Chocolate Factory discussion, which is a little grim, not gonna lie. So we'll see you next week for next week's Chocolate or Vanilla segment, and as always, we love you.
All right, love you guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Can I take a hard right turn here right now?
Please.
Can I just talk about Willy Wonka's sexuality?
Okay. Definitely
yeah.
ace, like,
for sure.
Not a single. And also, what does it say about me that I'm like, I'm still here for it? Like, I'm not gonna say that this character is sexy or like fueling my fire in that way, but I am just saying that there's something about the Willy Wonka character, both from Gene Wilder and from Johnny Depp, that I can just get behind.
They're so incredibly different because, like, to me, Johnny Depp's version doesn't even have, like, any appendage down there. Nothing. He's smooth like a Barbie doll. Maybe he lost it in some freak candy accident. I don't know. But
He's like a puppet.
There's nothing.
Just a hole that goes all the way to the brain.
That's why he's got the puppet repair shop.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god. The Puppet Hospital and Burn Center. That, I'm gonna say, a comedic, whoever wrote that line, like, I hope you have several awards on your shelf, because whoever came up with the joke of having a puppet hospital and burn center, you can be on the podcast.
You are more than welcome.
You and Deep Roy can be on the pod.
But like it's so weird because, like, this version of Willy Wonka, nothing going on. Like, really, like, he's not nothing. But the Gene Wilder one, he's a
Wilder.
freak.
Fox. Fox.
That man lays pipe.
It's just, we've discussed this in the past. It's the
Exactly.
somersault. It's the introductory somersault. That's
Have we
just...
discussed this in the past?
I think it was in a chocolate or vanilla with Jen, and you and I were both like, yeah, fuck, marry, kill, fuck Gene Wilder. He does a somersault.
Really sexy. Bro, if someone introduced themselves to me with a somersault, my pants would be across the room.
Oh my goodness. I know that like a lot of critics, like when this movie came out, like commented and even addressed to Johnny Depp in interviews. They're like, yeah, dude, why are you acting like Michael Jackson?
No, right? That's the exact same vibe that I got.
And it's like, I guess now, you know, in 2005, that comment was not quite so poignant as it is today, as we know that Michael Jackson was a literal pedophile. But in 2005, I think that was really an astute observation from the critics of this movie, because he is acting a little...
Like, it's so weird,
you know
because like
mean.
His character hates kids too, is the thing.
Yeah, why would you make this elaborate? I'm sure if you made it like, I don't know, we're putting little golden tickets inside chocolate flavored booze nips, and we're doing a 21 plus booze cruise down the chocolate river, you could have gotten some interesting characters.
Right? You could have had an actual business partner instead of a 10-year-old.
You're right, though. It's because he wants to kill them.
Exactly.
It's because he wants to murder them. He loves, the minute he sees these kids and who's coming to his factory, he's like, oh, they're so fucked up and flawed, I'm gonna love it. He's relishing in the fact that these kids are little monsters.
Which kid do you hate the most, though? Because I have very strong feelings about all of these kids.
I'm gonna say Veruca Salt, just because I think, I don't necessarily blame her for being a product of her environment. I more hate her parents for, you know, being that way and having a kid who ends up being that way. But that kind of person will never change. Like somebody like Violet, you know, might, as she gets older, kind of realize that you don't have to be rude to other people when you're being competitive. Kind of thing. And, you know, Augustus Gloop is just fat. That's really fat phobic, you know? We can't blame him for being a little
glutton.
Chunky glutton.
That's a child.
Yeah.
That's what a child is.
He really is. Right, yeah, if given all the resources of all that candy, I too would have a romp. I too would stuff my face. I simply cannot blame him. And then I've spoken my piece about Mike TV. I think he's all right. I mean, would I like to meet him in real life as he grows up? If I, you know, ran into him at a bar and he's talking about why we should invest in cryptocurrency or some shit like that? No.
That is a male manipulator.
Yeah.
Hold on. I want to take a minute, though, to talk about Augustus Gloop and just the journey that he went through up that pipe, because the human body cannot withstand the pressure of that tube. That man, that child should be...
He has several broken ribs.
He should be in a million different pieces. Like, the other thing, like, if he's not absolutely destroyed by the pressure, it's the lack of oxygen in the tank, which is slowly depleting while there's a musical number going on.
His head should have exploded. It should have popped like a little pimple. Just brains everywhere. Because you're so right. And also, even as a kid, I remember thinking, so he goes under and he gets sucked up the pipe, right? And there's a solid amount of chocolate that gets sucked up before him. The rest of the chocolate continues up the pipe, but he stays. Due to science, that should not happen. He should have drowned. That little fucker should have suffocated and drowned.
This is a lot like what is it, in our Heathers episode where it's like Veronica's standing 4 feet away and like does not get blown up or anything like that. I need someone with a degree in like physics to explain how on God's green earth this could possibly happen.
Or come up with a workbook. I think you could really kill at Barnes and Nobles if you come up with a little, for homeschoolers, a little notebook. that are like math and physics problems surrounding the near death of every child in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like, you know, theoretically, how would we get Mike TV, you know, down to miniature size? How, you know, maybe explain why that is unfeasible. Why is Augustus not dead? That is also unfeasible. All of these children should have been gone in an instant.
Yeah, Violet.
I think the only one is, I think, Veruca Salt falls down the garbage chute, which is
not
maybe
at all.
not so bad. But they also, so he's like, maybe she fell and is just like stuck at the top, so you could go snatch her out. And the dad's like, okay, I'll go try. We know this is not the case. We would hear her screaming. But the dad's like, okay, I'll go check it out. And then the Oompa Loompas do a full musical number as he slowly paces towards the hole. And in this process, they throw like a 10-pound fish. I'm like, if she was stuck at the top, she's impaled with a fish bone.
My favorite part of that entire sequence with her with like the nuts and everything like that and the squirrels is just they like pin down her arms and everything like that and they carry her to the hole and the Jesus imagery there is just absurd. She looks like she's about to be crucified.
Crucified. Oh my god. Those are real
Shut the fuck up.
Not the ones carrying her. But in the scenes where they're like sitting and those really up close shots of squirrels, they got trained squirrels for those because they're like, we can't CG hyper realistic squirrels. They obviously did for like the carrying scenes and stuff like that, but the really up close of the squirrels like cracking the nuts and stuff, those are real
insane
squirrels.
To me. Right?
Pretty crazy, right? Squirrels are really smart. I feel like you can train them if anyone out there needs some good squirrel accounts on Instagram to follow, Thumbelina the squirrel is one of my favorites. People who like domesticate squirrels who have been like injured and stuff. Yeah, Peanut the squirrel is another really good one. Thumbelina and Peanut.
I didn't know that there were famous squirrels.
Yeah, in the same way that there are famous sugar gliders, famous capybaras. I do follow a lot of exotic pet accounts. Maybe that would be my Willy Wonka story. I would open like a weird zoo pet store of like rehabilitated capybaras and I would let them feast on the children.
I like that for you. I think I can see that working. Henry could cook them like gourmet meals.
I would love. Right? Oh my god. A 5-star restaurant where we only serve capybaras. I'm sorry, if you're not a capybara, you cannot have a reservation.
Have you seen like those people on TikTok? There's one guy that'll like make 5-star like worthy meals for his dog. And that's what I'm visioning it for you.
Oh, that's so nice. Speaking of TikTok, do you know the sexy Willy Wonka TikTok
I feel like
guy?
yes. I feel like I remember him from like way earlier in my TikTok career.
He's got like 1 million. Yeah, he was pretty early TikTok famous. I think all you need to search is like Willy Wonka on TikTok and he will be the first one that comes up. I think he's verified as like Willy Wonka from TikTok or something like that. But he dresses up like the Johnny Depp one. But
yeah,
like,
I just know that sexy. Really does it for you.
Yeah, he does a little dance. No, it's not quite that though. It's like the unhinged. Maybe I just
you like him strange, and that's fine.
You know who I think could have bodied this role? Jake Gyllenhaal.
After like after seeing Mr. Music,
Mr. Music. After seeing him as Mr. Music and John Mulaney's Lunch Bunch, we just named a string of questionable men just then. Sorry, we are apologizers.
Yeah. Apologists.
I'm a Jake Gyllenhaal apologist. I'm sorry, Taylor Swift.
Well, you've been riding this wave way longer than just now.
I know. I'm a fan.
He's a good actor.
I'm not gonna get into it, but it doesn't mean he has to be a good person for me to appreciate his. But maybe I don't want to hang out with him.
Yeah, no, you said it last week. He's bumped down on your husband's list. Yeah,
no list of husbands. Yeah, he like has to go sleep on the couch kind of deal.
Yeah, you know who bumped?
And all 4 members of Greta Van Fleet. Get on it. I was
gonna say, you know who's bumped up on my husband's list? Grandpa Joe.
No, Grandpa. I like the other Grandpa better because he's like, Charlie, don't be fucking unrealistic. You're not gonna win a ticket. You know who's gonna win tickets? Parents who can buy their kids 1 million chocolate bars. Statistically, it's just not gonna happen for you. Everyone else is like, Charlie, there's hope. No, do not give this kid hope when there really statistically is none, especially after tickets had been found. by two other kids who live on the same
He's a
continent
realist.
as him.
I can respect that.
And I like that. And even at the end, he still loves his family, but he was just being
that's
real.
fair.
He was just being real about it. Also, his wife has so much dementia, and he still
I do love
loves
his
her.
wife.
Grandma Georgina.
Love it. I love
Wilding.
her. Do we actually want to get into who we would fuck, marry, and kill, though? Since we're on this tangent.
Yeah, do you think there's like a main 3 adult characters in this movie? Because I really don't think so. So do you want to do, I wouldn't say, let's do the batch of parents.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So then they'll just be an outlier. They'll just be an extra. But so you get to, or wait, there'll be 5, right? Because it'll be Grandpa Joe, but I guess, yeah, it'll be Grandpa Joe, Augustus Gloop's mom, who I think seems like a delight, Veruca Salt's trash dad, Missy Pyle in her hella nice tracksuit, and
Mike TV's guy.
do you recognize Mike TV's dad from Breaking Bad? He played.
I only ever hold on. Here's my thing: is
I don't know,
anytime I watch Breaking Bad, and I've done it like 4 times, I only get to like the 3rd season, and then I stop. So would I know him?
Oh no, I went on a personal cycle for several years where every summer I'd watch Lost and every winter I'd watch Breaking Bad. So I've seen that show maybe all the way through 6 or 7 times. So sorry for my cute knowledge, but Gretchen and Elliot, they're a couple and they used to work with Walt and then they got rich and he became a teacher. So there's like, he's a very fringe character. Very fringe, but Gretchen and Elliot, they're like a pair of side characters. That's Mike TV's dad. I saw that man and I'm like, why do I fucking recognize you? In the same way that Charlie's dad, I was like, why do I recognize this man? And he plays Locke in Game of Thrones. If anyone recognizes, he was one of the Night's Watch guys and he like turns on everyone. If you look him up, Henry, what's a describing characteristic of Locke from Game of Thrones? He's got like shoulder length hair. I think he uses like daggers or something. And he's there with, what's the guy from Pacific Rim's name? He's there with the guy from Pacific Rim. It doesn't really matter. I'm just doing an actor Kevin Bacon situation now. But anyways, those are our 5. So
I would have never recognized this man as like Game of Thrones. Huh.
I have like the IMDb type of
brain,
like implant in my brain, like the widget. You know how you add a widget to a website? When they were building me, they're like, let's give her the IMDb widget. But it's like, I don't know their name, but I can scan the face type beat. Do we want to add, so I'm thinking like fuck, marry, kill, like get a beer with, and would be an okay coworker?
I mean, I guess. Yeah, sure, okay.
Are those too fringe?
Let's go for it. Let's go for it. So it's all the people that accompany the children, correct? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The 5 like parental figures.
I am going to marry Grandpa Joe. It's like when you adopt like a senior dog. Like give him like a really good last few years. Yeah, I'm gonna marry Grandpa Joe, even though he does still have a living wife. I will be a home.
Mm-hmm. She would be very accepting. Yeah, you could be like their caregiver.
I'm down for that. I'm gonna marry Grandpa Joe. I'm gonna obviously kill Veruca Salt's dad, because the whole yeah, exactly.
Eat the rich.
He's a massive misogynist. I couldn't do. Yeah,
the world would be better off without him. I agree.
Who am I gonna fuck?
And maybe being an orphan would teach that girl some manners.
You know what? Trauma builds a person. But I'm gonna fuck. Who am I thinking? I'm gonna fuck. I guess Veronica. No, Violet's mom.
Oh yeah. Mom. Yeah, Missy Pyle, hot in this movie. Hot.
And then who would I would want to get a beer with? Augustus's mother, for sure. She seems like she'd just be a blast at the bar. We'd get absolutely wasted. And then I do think Mike TV's dad would be a decent coworker. I think he'd bring donuts into like the teacher's lounge.
Or he'd be the kind of guy that you like ask him to do something and he'd, when you have coworkers and you're like, oh, hey, can you do this for me? And they're like, sure. And then they never do it. But when you have a coworker and you ask them, you're like, oh, can you do this? And they're like, sure. And then they don't. And then you resent them forever. And you're like, I'll never ask a favor of you. Or the coworkers are like, oh, can you do this? And they're like, yeah, of course. And then they do it. And you're like, wow, you're a great coworker. I appreciate you. He'd be the kind that he would definitely do the thing. Like, oh, do you mind making a couple extra photocopies for me? And
he made like more than you need too.
Mm-hmm. I like that he specified his profession. I like in movies when characters give weird specific details about themselves that lets me divulge deeper into their, mind of who they are. I like that he's a high school geography teacher. That just checks out for me.
What about you?
His wife also seemed very bland. I'm definitely gonna marry Violet's mom so we can wear matching tracksuits.
I think that's good
I think
for
that
you.
would be nice. I'm gonna fuck Augustus Gloop's mom. And then I'm gonna kill Veruca Salt's dad, obviously. Fuck that motherfucker. I'm gonna liberate his wife. I'm sure she's like in a hostage situation. And then I'm gonna get a beer with Grandpa Joe because I don't think he'd be a good coworker, but I do think my TV's dad would be half decent. Like, I work in the English department and he works in the history department, so we our paths don't cross often, but like when they do, I feel
like Grandpa Joe could be really fun to get a beer with. Like, Grandpa Joe is also one that you would end up blasted with.
And he would like tell stories about some war that I don't even know which war he's talking about.
It's just thrilling.
But I'd be like, thanks for getting vulnerable, I guess. When old people just start on a story that you're like, I don't remember asking you a question, but I guess do a 10-minute monologue. Because that's going to be me, I'm going to be some old coot in a wheelchair at some function, and I'm going to be like, back in the day, I had a podcast. And then I'm going to, talk about Brokeback Mountain for 15 minutes as if I was there.
You just start doing the podcast. I'm not there. You're talking to me anyways.
Yeah. I like have a puppet of you and I'm like doing a bit and everyone's like, Grandma, did you take your meds this morning?
Definitely not.
And then I guess for the whole movie, I am gonna marry Willy Wonka because I could fix him. I simply could. I'm gonna fuck Willy Wonka's dad because I also think that I don't know. There's something about a dentist that just needs to loosen up a little bit, I think. And then I'm gonna kill that first person who offered to buy the golden ticket off of Charlie because how fucking dare you?
So I'm gonna opt to join Charlie's mother and father's marriage. I want to be in that throuple, so I'm gonna marry. Do I marry one of them? Do I marry both of them? I don't know. I'm in it though. Because I think they're too good together, but I want to be a part of that. So I'm going to marry them. I'm going to fuck Veruca Salt's mom because I know she's never had an orgasm before with that man.
No, she fucks the pool boy.
You're right,
Come
you're
on.
right. You're right.
Or like the maid or something, But I appreciate your valiant effort. You're always so selfless with these fuck choices.
Christ. And I'm gonna kill Willy Wonka, honestly, because
and you're gonna leave me entitled to
because he's
throne.
He's enslaved
throne.
Yeah, he's
And
enslaved an entire people.
As his wife, I am going to liberate the Oompa Loompas. That is
this is
step
the whole
one.
plan. No,
there will be no prenup, and I will
are gonna
be
have to kill Charlie though after this. Yeah, I just hope you're ready to get your hands dirty because I can kill Willy Wonka, but you're gonna have to kill Charlie.
I want this to be, I guess, Squid Game spoilers ahead, so skip like 30 seconds, but I want this to be like a Squid Game situation where we get into the deep archives and we find out that Willy Wonka is an eternal being who does this like every 80 years and he kills all the children and it's his like personal secret fucked up little game and then every time he presents it the world has just kind of forgotten about it.
I mean, you're not wrong. I could definitely see him being like an eternal being.
Right? Yeah, and like, every 100 years he selects the 5 children who will be the sacrifice to fuel his eternal flame.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. This was actually Tim Burton's original idea. It's just got scrapped.
Yeah, and they said too dark.
But
too
and
dark.
Honestly, most importantly is what would you eat and drink with this film?
Yeah, so I think candy's a little too on the nose. And honestly, this movie does not make me crave a sweet. Like, I see it, and like maybe I just wasn't personally in the mood at the time, but I'm like, this movie kind of like makes me feel that way you feel when you like chew metal near your cavity, you know? Like it's
Sorry,
gluttonous.
did you say chew metal near your cavity?
Yeah. Is that not a universal experience when you like get the little twinge of metal that you have in your cavity when you're chewing something that's metallic?
I was so confused as to what you were saying. I was like, do you be chewing on metal?
Yeah, no way. Like a piece of tinfoil or something. You're chewing on a log of tinfoil, and then it gets near your cavity, and it feels a little bit funny.
Because I always carry a wad of tinfoil with me.
Sorry, I have pica. Sorry, I like just want to eat things that are inedible. I'm like craving cement mix. I feel like English food, England as a whole is not really known for its cooking. Particularly, but I think like a hearty meat pie, like something that would really turn the Bucket family right. Like at the end, they have that like nice roast, and that I'm like, I'm hungry for that, you know, like a Cornish hen, a nice little vegetable medley. I do think this like a pork pie, like a meat pie. Get something like not necessarily quintessentially British, but it like feels a little fringe British.
Okay. No, that's fair.
Because, I don't know, this movie does not make me want candy. I simply don't want it. I think that, reversely, though, if you do want to go the sweeter route, I would say for your drink, you could do, like, a spiked hot cocoa. Yeah. So, you could do, like, you know, a nip of your... I like Frangelico, I like Amaretto, Bailey's is okay, you know, any of those sort of dessert... based liquors, and you can put it in your coffee or your hot chocolate.
Yeah, I was on a similar wave because one of the ideas that I had was like, I mean, I guess your liquor of choice and like eggnog sort of thing. Because if you're watching this, I do think it's good. It's decent around the holidays, and I think for me, the angle that I came at it, I'm like, okay, I'm watching this sort of like getting closer to Christmas time, so I'm gonna take a bit of more of a holiday stance. So like. For me, I don't want to say, like, Fireball and eggnog, but it's not bad. Yeah, something in
eggnog. You can also...
Exactly.
Some eggnog comes alcoholic. So, an alcoholic... a nice dessert drink. I feel you. I want a fire
my
going
other option, my other thought was do a whiskey sour.
Ooh, okay.
Because I was definitely leaning into the sweets thing more a little bit, and it's not like the sweetest thing, but like a whiskey sour I feel like is good. And also, I need something strong if I'm watching this movie.
Let's forego alcohol. You have to do fucking hallucinogens to watch this movie. You have to smoke fucking crack before you watch this movie to feel at the level it is attaining.
Or
to
I think
bring you to.
I think you could also do if you wanted to get like really crazy about it, like get and like do the whole absinthe drip and all that shit. But
I thought you were going to say if you want to get really crazy with it for the food preparations, you could do the stages of the gum.
Oh,
so
that's a great idea.
Tomato soup. Right? She gets tomato soup, and then she gets roast beef with baked potato, and then she gets blueberry pie. So even just one of those, I think, especially because she blows up as the blueberry at the end, eat a meat pie and then a blueberry pie. Do a double pie night.
My suggestion was definitely not even close to on that level, but like I said, I'm taking the holiday stance. One thing that sticks out for me is, do you ever get those big tins of popcorn, and they have, from like Boy Scouts,
from, like,
and it
Boy
has
Scouts?
like the three different flavors of popcorn in it and everything like that, and it's like caramel corn or like regular, and then like like a cheddar one or something like that. That, at least to me, sticks out.
Yeah.
And then I'd say, like, if you wanted to, like, do your favorite candy kind of thing, like, do, like, a popcorn and candy kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, so easy.
I wasn't reaching. I wasn't reaching with this movie.
Load up from the. Yeah, same. I think there's a lot to work with. It's because it's like it's a food-based film. And so then what would you follow this up
I only
with?
have one recommendation, and it is, like I said before, Johnny Depp has an insane range, and a movie that is still rather wacky, but on a different side of things. Maybe not too far off, but I say you watch Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Ooh. Yeah, because that's definitely a big 180 from this performance, for sure. Also based off of a book. So you can do, like, Johnny Depp movies
both of
based
these
off
movies
of
make
novels.
you feel like you're on drugs.
Nice.
So.
True. Yeah. Switch from like, so this movie, you do like absinthe and LSD, and then Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, you do like whiskey and crack.
Yeah, that's your pairing
like the
for these
transition.
movies. What about you?
Yeah. So I was really leaning into the sort of ominous, timeless nature of the setting of this movie, and it's like quite like the costumes, the technology, the way people speak, it's just like all quite not lining up. And I say you watch the Jim Carrey Series of Unfortunate Events movie. I know it's not my favorite. I do prefer the TV series because I'm a huge fan of the books, and I think the TV series, the Netflix original TV series with Neil Patrick Harris, does a way better job of capturing the spirit of the books. If, you know, totally different conversation to be had there. But this gives me the same kind of like early 2000s. We're doing something a little kooky. We're doing like a, you know, quirky main male mentally ill character involving children type beat.
Yeah, no.
Situation also maybe. But the specific thing though is that movie also is like everyone is dressed like they're in the Victorian era, but then like somebody drives up in a car and like has a cell phone and it's just
where
like,
are we?
What the fuck is going on here? Yeah, where are we? When are we? And also, yeah, like vaguely British, but also American type, like weird tomfoolery happening there. And I just feel like those two movies came out kind of in a close range of time, and I associate them as like being next to each other in my DVD book as a kid. If anybody out there also had like a little, was there a name for those? Like a little book that you put your
I know what
DVDs
you're
in,
talking
those little
about, but I have
plastic
no idea if
slips?
there's a name for them.
I think my parents still have, I had one made of denim, and it had a little pocket on the outside. It looked like a pair of jeans. It was very cute. I had that one, then I had a Spider-Man one. And they hold all of our DVDs, and whenever the power goes out now, it's like very handy to have like all of the Lord of the Rings movies on DVD, because you're like, yes, we have an entertainment thing. The generator can run.
The generator,
not the cable.
at the very least. No, you're
It's
right.
good to have DVDs.
Very true.
You know, revert back to tradition. But yeah, Series of Unfortunate Events was my only suggestion. I guess maybe also either you can go Freddie Highmore or Anna Sophia Robb in the way of you could watch Spiderwick Chronicles or Bridge to Terabithia. Both very like whimsical from 2000 and whatever energy. Child actors who are like not horrible, like weirdly.
And what would you rate this movie?
I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 10 because all four of those points are basically for like production design, Deep Roy doing the music numbers, and like Danny Elfman's work. And other than that, I think although this movie is like fun to watch, it makes me too angry to give it anything above a 5 because I'm just like, why? Like, why? It
does leave a bit of a bad taste in your mouth, to say the least. And that is definitely saying the least. No, I'm sitting at a 4 as well with you there.
Yeah. Because it's wacky, and it's certainly like a memorable part of my childhood. Like, I remember watching this movie as a young kid and thinking that the visuals were like, how did they do this?
After this, I don't need to watch this movie maybe ever again. Maybe for like another 20 years. I don't know.
Right. It's one of, like, it's gonna have to dissipate from my memory, and then I'm gonna be like, that's a weird one, huh? Let's put it on. But yeah, I think I was probably an early teenager the last time I watched this, and now I'm in early 20s. So let's give it until I'm like 34, and then we'll come back around.
And I know
to
it'll only have aged worse.
Yeah, right. So thank you everyone for listening.
We have a giveaway.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay, last week we asked all of you what song you'd want the band from School
really
of Rock
good
to play,
ones.
and we got some
a lot of
amazing answers. All of you who said All Too Well Taylor's 10-minute version, I just like huge shouts out to all of you. And then also we got a lot of people saying Olivia Rodrigo songs, which was also a very funny answer. Okay, I took a little screenshot, so give me a second to
I love whoever said Judas by Lady Gaga. Just hearing Jack Black do the ew.
Okay, roll a number between 1 and 25.
1 and 25. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, you're really showing up for these. All right. 18.
Okay, Adam L. Cook, who said WAP, which is a great answer. So, okay, Adam L. Cook, WAP, great answer. You've won our giveaway. I'll be mailing you some stickers and whatnot. We try to do a giveaway every month, even though most of our merch now is through a distributor, which is super cool. So if you want to check it out, it's on the link on our website, but it'll also be in the description below. It's also on Etsy. That's like the platform we put it out on. So if you want to just go on Etsy and search The Swamp Podcast, it'll probably come up. But we've got t-shirts, mugs, stickers, lots of cool stuff. Also, not all of it is like Swamp specific. Some of it is just fun, like designs related to movies. So as the holidays are approaching, if you have a friend who loves, I don't know, Sister Act and smoking weed, you can get them the Dream Blunt rotation tote bag or something like that. And then also keep your eyes peeled for the rest of the month. We'll be doing snow movies, but also we have something really fun coming up with a podcast from Australia. We made some pod friends. You'll finally get a guest who's not like my mom for once. We love Jen.
Trust me.
But it's exciting to have actual podcasters. So sometime later this month, we'll be doing a joint episode with the podcast 3 Tickets 2. They're from Australia and they're really cool. And we'll be doing a Marvel movie little situation. So look out for that. But then for the rest of the month, we'll be just doing snow movies. So bear with us. Also, nothing's really set in stone yet, so if you have a particular snow movie that you're, like, really jazzed to hear us talk about, or if you can, like, find, like, the most niche, like, there's one scene in one movie that has snow in it and you want to tell us about it, like, please do, because we'll mention it, because I think that's just fucking funny.
We're really grasping here.
Yeah. Or if you have themes for the future months, we always do try to make our months a theme. So if you have theme ideas or movie ideas, please DM us. All of our social info is in the description below. We really appreciate all of you guys listening. I'm sorry we picked such a fucked movie this week. Honestly, it just was like Snow, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But then I was like, oh God, racism and colonialism. God, we're going to have to tackle some big issues this week.
But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening as always.
Yeah, and good night to all, and to all a good night. 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 All, and to all